some basketball games went down.
Yeah. Oh, I thought you were actually talking about your baby shower.
I did have my baby shower.
Yeah.
But the real story was actually I had a friend who was supposed to be at my baby shower who couldn't make it because she went to the Duke North Carolina game. Unfortunately, they were rooting for Duke.
Okay. I was going to say, that's a true friend. She honestly knows what's more important.
Yeah, no, I was like, if anybody understands needing to go to the game, it's me.
So now we've got the national championship tonight because Kansas knocks up Villanova. North Carolina sending Coach 401k off into the sunset, now knocking up Duke. So it's North Carolina, Kansas tonight. And I still don't understand, and Julian Edlow, DraftKings contributor, it's good to have you here. Good
to be here.
This game starts at 9:20 tonight. It's a Monday night.
Why?
It's a school night. Like, that
Who
seems
decided
late.
that?
Yeah, tough for us East Coasters. I will say the sports calendar has its ups and downs with coast to coast. Because when I was out, obviously if you're out in Vegas, if you're out West Coast, 6:20 tip, you get out of work. Perfect timing. You're there for March Madness like I was at the beginning of the tournament. Those games tip at 9 a.m. So East Coast is where you want to be for that. But tonight, yeah, it's a better night for the West Coasters.
Yeah.
All right, so before we get to tonight, just real quick, what stood out to you there with Kansas covering, like, once again?
Yeah, Kansas was my biggest bet of the tournament so far for that game. And it was just because Villanova wasn't going to have the pieces. And that played out. That was wire-to-wire Kansas. Villanova made a quick little run in the second half, a threat to cut it to 8, 7, 6, whatever it was, and make a game of it. But in the end, the depth was an issue. Villanova doesn't have the pieces without Justin Moore. They have 5 players, and you can't play a Final Four game against Kansas with 5 players. Kansas had the depth, and their stars led them. Agbaji, McCormick. I will say I feel bad for underbackers because that was the right side. There were very few possessions in that game. Kansas had the fewest possessions it had in 5 years. It just scored 1.4 points per possession. Kansas made all its shots. So you saw what they did. They deserve to be playing in the championship.
All right, let's talk about the North Carolina-Duke game. North Carolina finishing off Duke. Coach K's career, as you mentioned, Coach 401k. That was so nice of you. A couple of missed free throws down the stretch for Duke. Huge second half from Caleb Love. I mean, it was back and forth the entire game. Was this one just like an instant classic?
It was absolutely an instant classic. That's one of the best Final Four games in a while. You say that last year we had UCLA Gonzaga that's right up there with it. But just overall, one of the better Final Four games regardless of narratives in a while. And then you throw in that it was UNC Duke, first tournament meeting in the Final Four, Coach K's last game. So it had all the pieces. And then obviously what we saw play out on the floor. Honestly, I thought Coach K coached a pretty poor game. I don't know if he was distracted or anything, but like he called his final timeout on an own made basket, a 3-pointer that Duke made. That was weird. He put Mark Williams back in the game for defensive purposes, had a chance to take him out when Duke was going back on offense. Didn't. He went on to miss those 2 free throws down the stretch. So, I mean, North Carolina dug deeper, deserved to win. That was a great second half by them, like they've been doing all tournament.
Now North Carolina 9-1 straight up and 9-1 ATS since last 10 games. Jayhawks 7-3 ATS in their last 10. Both the games, by the way, on Saturday, Jules, going over. So tonight totals at 152. Which way are you leaning here?
Yeah, this is an over for me. And I'll have it out in my Best Bets article right when I'm done this pretty much. Very similar to Carolina Duke. In terms of pace, talent, scoring. This should be more of an NBA-paced game. Villanova had to do everything. Even if it was healthy, Villanova would have slowed that game down. So down their second-best scorer and down a guy that plays 35 minutes a game, they had to try and slow Kansas. It kind of worked, like I said, in terms of pace and possessions in the game. Problem is Kansas is too good, and they made all their shots. This game, UNC is going to look to run, and that's what Kansas likes to do too. So I think this is going to look much more like an NBA-style game for the 40 minutes or 40-plus that we wind up getting. And both of these teams have been knocking down their shots. We've seen what Kansas has done. Agbaji was 6 for 7 from downtown. Brady Manick and Caleb Love have been hitting their threes every game. So I think we're going to see points in this one just like Duke UNC.
All right, yeah, and I think as of like early this morning, bettors have put 84% of the handle and 67% of the bets on the over in this game.
Wow. What's like a player or game prop that you're eyeing, Jules?
For a player prop, it ties right into the over, and it's one that has not missed in the tournament. Brady Manick over 2.5 3-pointers made. Made us sweat in the Final Four one against Duke. He didn't make one in the first half. Came on and knocked down 3 in the second half and hit the over again. He's now made at least 3 3-pointers in all 5 tournament games. He's shooting like around 40% so far. There you see it juiced to the -125 because people have been all over it. I think it was the most bet prop on Saturday night between both games. Dude's taking a lot of threes. Dude's making a lot of threes. And this is a game that we should see a lot of them attempted.
All right. Speaking of dudes, who do you like for most outstanding player?
This is a tougher one. I'm not going to have a bet on this. I do think that Kansas probably gets the game. Nothing crazy there. Obviously, they're 4-point favorites. Then it comes down to who do you think their best player is in this game. And I'm going to go with Agbaji. I think the matchup is better for him. He's the favorite on the board. I think he's plus 140, so not much of a hot take here. I think the matchup for McCormick, who was awesome against Villanova, gets much tougher in this game, whereas the production should come from the wing. So that's why I would go with Agbaji if you're going to bet it.
All right, you already kind of answered this one, but Kansas favored by 4. It sounds like you're going with Kansas. As of Sunday afternoon, 77% of the handle, 54% of the bets on Kansas to win.
Yeah, but it's a little different. That's more of a lean towards Kansas winning, and now you're getting over a possession worth of points with UNC. But yes, the over is my favorite bet in the game. I'm more confident we're going to see points than anything, and I'm not a huge total bettor, so do with that what you will. But yeah, Kansas are nothing for me if I'm going with a side. What scares you is that UNC's been getting it done all tournament. No matter who they're playing. So they're no longer an 8 seed. They're a top 10 team in the country right now, playing really well. But Kansas got that done relatively easily. They were the earlier game, a little bit more time to watch that second game and prep. Whereas I know it's a national championship, but maybe it's a little bit of a hangover spot for UNC after the emotional win of knocking off Duke yet again as underdogs in the Final Four, having to come back in that game and play until the final buzzer. I think that Kansas is probably the side in this game.